'Twas on the 1st of March that Pittmans Privateers set out, a jolly crowd of poets and bards from here and thereabout. Our wounded Captain Brown was not aboard with Shepherd's crook, but kept all hands in order with commands from Corner Brook. "First we take New York," he said, "and then we take Berlin. But if Berlin's not in the budget, then we take the Fogo in. The ferry could be on the run or could be broken down. Then all hands get your gaff and copy pans across the Sound." Well, we mostly took New York, I suppose, but we didn't take Broadway. Patrina had that conquered with her vessel come from away. And now I hear the crowd down there know where she's from, you see, and by jingle next election she will run against Donald T. Then we squared away for Hogtown, in another foreign land, a scurvy band of brigands, Captain Morgan in command. We took a verbal broadside at the show in Parry Sound, but when Halifax fell to us, not an empty seat was found. And thus we conquered Upperlong, then spread out across the island. In Renews, a pot of birds was on the stove with kettle boiling. The towny crowd was small to come and hear the songs and prose. Something else was on the go. 'Twas a curling games, I suppose. The Hare moved on to Jerry Strong freshwater carboneer. In Arnold's Cove the Worms came aboard with all their gear. The Gander Hare went on from here to there and back to here, long enough to cork the seams on Baxter's Yankee privateer. The ice was in the Sound, but the ferry was on time. The tilting crowd was loud, but seemed to like our show just fine. We left Bird Islands early for the Legionnaire to make, left all hands a-smilin' at the motel in Deer Lake. Next we sailed for Corner Brook to finish off the Hare. 3 days up on bus for every Pittman's Privateer. We gathered at the Glenmill Inn and crowded in to see our wounded Captain Brown presiding in the deanery. A game of cards was called for after Sunday evenings here. "No effing 15 bids," said Des. Said Pam, "Sure, I don't care." The game got kind of rowdy. We were slamming down the cards. The curling game was on beside, distracting all the bards. By and by 'twas hard to say which was the bigger deal. We bawled and called and mostly tried to keep an even keel. Then Des went 20 for the game, and Brad took one last look, and all hands held their breath in both St. John's and Corner Brook. The Hare Heads watched with bated breath for Des to finally make the winning play to take the day. The country was at stake. Brad had thrown and had a worried look upon his face. The sweepers jumped in right away and kept a desperate pace. Then as the rock began to creep across the 12-foot ring, all hands could see 'twas not to be. Our Brad would not be king. The rock was short, for sure the 12-foot ring would not be crossed, a bitter pill to swallow, and the country would be lost. Back in Corner Brook, Dave played his jack with style. He knew for sure that Des was down, the 5 was in the undealt pile. But David got it wrong again, his memory being unstable, and with a mighty pound Des slammed the 5 upon the table. The shockwave from the slam went through the Glenmill Inn foundation, and radiated outward round the world to every nation. Tsunamis rolled from pole to pole, buildings swayed all round the earth. 8.6 was noted on a Richter scale in Perth. Back at Mile 1 the air was filled with doom and gloom. One sweeper had collapsed and one had melted down his broom. Then the shock from Des's 5 arrived and moved the rock to score. The country and the game were won. Team Gushu had one more. And so the games were ended, and all hands breathed a sigh. Our captain paid us off and then dismissed us by and by. Our people all went off the head and hoisted up a few to hail the conquering hero. And, oh yeah, Brad won too.